Yeah.
Yeah. Getting back on the subject of musical tributes to Terry, check this out.
trouble as we search for something new, and we'll play for you. Terry, I miss you, man, and love you.
Hey there, everybody. Please don't romp around. You're listening to Beyond the Grooves. Tonight is the fabulous 75th birthday show for Terry Kath. And we have, as always, Patty Molloy, and we have a very special guest, Mr. Nick Morrone.
And by the way, that song we just heard was Introduction by Band of Two, featuring Nick Morrone on drums and vocals, Joe Iaquinto on bass, and Chris Pinnock on guitar.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us, Nick.
Woohoo!
Hey, thanks for having me.
How you doing?
You know, I'm good. Thanks for asking, and thanks for having me on here. It's hard to believe, 75 years. Wow. 75th birthday for Terry. So if I met him when he was, let's say, 12 years old, how long ago was that? That was, let me see, 75,
63.
63 years ago.
So let's do a little background on you, Nick, and what your connection to Terry Kath is for those who don't know.
Okay. Met Terry when I was about 11 and a half years old, Northwest Side. We were, I was going to school and had a little mishap at school. I was, thing kind of happened at recess and I didn't know what to do. I was like a greaser. My hair was all greased up, and I'm from the Taggart neighborhood, like where Danny Seraphin was from, not too far away. And so on my first day of school, I go, and there was a mishap at recess, and the guy was pouncing on me because I'm the new kid in the block. And what had happened was I went home after school, rushed home, and I had given all the girls, it was my first day at this new school, a little pieces of paper saying dime dance at Nick Morrone's house, 7259 West Catalpa, 10 cents to get in, not knowing that anybody would come. And so I did that, and it was crazy. I played my drums with records, and it was like a little 10-cent sock hop in my house. And the first time, and actually girls came, and the first one that came in, I said, "This is for the dance." "Yes, it is." I put a dime in the little thing and the little can, and I go start playing, and I didn't stop. And I think within about a half an hour, there was probably 10, 15 girls in there, and they're all dancing, and I'm thinking, I'm having a dime dance. So this mishap at school, I kind of turned it around to being a fun thing, and it turned into a little kind of a little thing that was kind of cool. You can go to someone's house, have a little sock hop. A few days into that, I had a visitor at the door, and it happened to be Terry Kath, and he was there with a guitar, an amp, and a girl, and wanted to meet me and wanted to join my little band of one and to make it a band of two, and we did. So that's kind of how it all started with Terry.
And the girl was?
Her name was Jackie Gowdy, and Jackie had a brother named Jack Gowdy, who later became the road manager for Chicago, and a very good friend of mine. And Jackie was with Terry then, and for a few years after that, they were just best buddies and like boyfriend girlfriend thing. And then she wound up kind of breaking it with Terry, and Walter Perizader, the sax player for Chicago, he became her husband. So it was like the neighborhood thing going on, and very interesting times, to say the least.
So tell me a little bit about the kind of things you and Terry would listen to and play along to.
Well, my brother Jimmy's 5 years older than me, and Terry's brother was, I'm not sure how many years older than Terry, but because we had the older brothers, they had the records and the money to buy the records. And when you think about in those times, the music was a blend of uh, uh, whether it was well, that particular year that I met him, there was a song called Sleepwalk by Santo and Johnny. And it was a guitar song, a slow song. Stagger Lee by Lloyd Price, a shuffle. It was a mixture of, there was a band called, a group, Dave Rubeck, Take Five came out that year. It was a jazzy thing. So there was a mixture on the radio of all these kind of Poison Ivy by the Coasters, uh, the simple songs with different kinds of meaning and fun to dance to. Not the Take Five one, but that was more of a listen to one. Twist and Shout came out this year by the Isley Brothers, and so we did dance tunes, and with my drum beats and with Terry playing his rhythms and his guitar. That's kind of, it was simple. Oh, What I Say came out. That was of course Ray Charles. So it was a very interesting time because things were gelling and things were becoming, the rock and roll things were coming, and a mixture of whether it was Everly Brothers, but it was a dance. Everybody was crazy about dancing back then, and it was a fun time to be able to. I backed up the songs with my drums, and then when Terry and I got going, we actually played to the music, but we also played by ourselves, and we were a rhythm thing. He'd play rhythm, I'd play drums. We'd be staring at each other, and we just had a ball for several years, and so that's kind of what we were doing.
Now, when you guys did that, Nick, did he ever play any bass?
No, he played guitar, only guitar. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had there was Whit Smith played bass in our ensemble, but at his house he had a banjo. I think it was a family with banjo, and we would take the strings off the banjo, and we just did all kinds of fun things, and put them on a guitar and a little more bendy, and then as you, it was just it was an experimental time.
Right.
Terry played in a band called the Mystics, and the Mystics were local guys, and they him and his family and their families all went to church together, so they were together, and they knew each other, and they socialized, the families, and he played things with them like Ventures and more parts with, just played the parts of the song, and they did a few jobs. I did a few jobs with them, but it was more like the Ventures and things like that. I like the more Little Richard stuff. And so Terry, at my house, we had our own private time for experimental time, I called it, and getting into, because I was all about him learning how to play rhythms on the guitar, and with what I was doing and what he was doing, it was a lot of fun, and we just created this dancing rhythms that just kind of carried out through his whole career. That style of playing, where he keeps the beat of the band, but yet can play lead and rhythm, and incredible journey.
Yeah, he's the only other guy that I got to see live that did anything close to what Terry could do on guitar was Johnny Winter, where he could play lead and rhythm and sing at the same time like that.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same school, that just like balls out. But and Terry was one of those guys where, I mean, if you listen to a song like Brand New Love Affair, or even Searching So Long, I mean, he'll go from that little Motown kind of beautiful guitar part, and then he'll go to just straight up rhythm, and then by the end of the song, he's power chording.
Yeah, and then with that sustain that he got going with the way he played, and that was before electronics. So when he had all those flavors coming in, it was like almost like horn parts in the air. He had so much control of. Well, he had such a unique style to be able to getting all these sounds, and everybody's wondering, well, where's that coming from? It was Terry, the feedback and stuff. It was just, And he was always hungry for more. I met Terry this one day after school, and because I wasn't in high school and he wasn't yet either, but there was a meeting spot called the Carousel. It was a little corner spot on Northwest Highway, and it was you can get ice cream or Coca Cola or whatever, French fries. And I met him, and I said, "Hey, Terry, let's go. I'm going to come to your house today, and we got the you got the banjo there, and I'm bringing over some weights. I got these weights with me, and." Uh, he says, "What are the weights for?" I said, "Well, because we're going to walk around with weights. So when you start playing drums, your feet are going to be able to move quicker, and for your wrists for guitar, we'll be playing with the weights on. And when you take the guitar the weights off, you're going to be playing quick, faster." And so it was. I called it like my little Rocky story, which I didn't know about Rocky back then, but it was like that little kind of feel where I was so in love with the guitar and so in love with his playing, and he was willing to try things. So with the weights on and doing the rhythm thing, and I'm playing with the sticks on the strings, he was up for it all, and we had the most wonderful times together in the experimental things, and he got some of the most incredible sounds. And he was, like I said, always hungry for more. And the thing about Terry, he would try all these different things I wanted to hear. And so I got to hear the guitar playing drums beats and music and a dance beat. And no matter what I asked or mentioned, could we try? He was up for, and it was an amazing time to become this little unit of rhythm, doing these dime dances. And then a little later, I'll tell you about when we went to Taft High School, where we were going to go to high school. Before we went to high school, there we played there. That's my kind of thing, was Terry and I becoming this rhythm thing. And then I brought 3-4 other guys in when we played VFW halls or American Legion halls. But I was always me and Terry in the band with other guys coming in. Fun times.
Now, when you were playing the music with him, would
Mhm.
he bring records over to your house? And if he did, what records was he bringing over?
Well, like What I Say was a big one. When that came out and you're listening to Ray Charles, it was like, that was a big one. It was a song called Flamingo Express. And Flamingo Express was just a saxophone songs. It was by the Royal Tones, the band, and it was just a thing that went da 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 da. It kept doing that over and over, and then there was a break in the middle after this chord progression went, and there was a break, and it went daka 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 da. So I'd be playing that with the sticks, and then and then when I did daka 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 da, Terry was hearing it, so he did it, and then I would do it on the drums, and it sounded so fat because we're both doing that thing daka da daka da daka da. became like that kind of rhythm. If you're doing a thing and hitting it on the 2 and the 4, it'd be like daka 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 daka, and it would just keep going, and the kids would dance to it. So that was one of our fun times, figuring out new chords from songs.
That's something similar to how he played "Make Me Smile." There was a lot of that dun 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 dun. You know what I mean? Unison.
It is, and a lot of that come from playing on the banjo style,
Right.
you know. And there was some Joe that in the and I want to record this song. It's Liberation.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that was so much. That song is so Terry. It's just amazing. And at the end when he goes, "Oh, thank you, people," you know,
Yeah.
that yelling thing. Oh my God, he was like a machine. He was like a music machine. One guy doing this because when we learned songs, he learned all the parts to all this, the drums, the bass, the rhythm, the lead, and so he always had that going. And then when he got in the band Chicago, he was able to keep that going, you know, counting off the songs, getting a feel for the song, playing the rhythm, the lead. You hear it all the time, like you're saying, Joe, and it was infectious. It was it was in without, if you were to take everything away in any particular concert and just hear the guitar, he'd be playing the whole song. The whole
That's right.
song. Yeah. And a flavor like he was the flavor. I call him the glue of the band, and the flavor and the beat. So that's a lot for one guy. And the band got so used to it that they just expected it to be there. So when the band was kind of like it was Terry's turn to play solos, he would get quite frustrated because when he dropped off the 2 and the 4, and that kind of went away once in a while, the band he had to keep the glue together, so he had to cut his solos to more of a rhythm solo, because he wasn't getting satisfied because they weren't giving him the time to the beats to get off on what he's doing. So it was almost toward the end. It was like he had handcuffs on almost, where he couldn't express himself when it was his time. So he felt like he was just having to be forced to do that rhythm thing and not get the lead out that he wanted to get out. Otherwise,
Keep
the band
it filled up. Yeah.
yeah. Otherwise, the band would float.
Right.
And when it floated, it was like, I got to bring it back. Otherwise, especially their songs are so involved. If he didn't bring it back when they went back into the song, like "Make Me Smile" or whatever, it'd be like, where are we? You know. So he kept the glue together, and even had to not play what he was just getting off on doing. He had to come back in, and that would be frustrating.
Very well said. Yeah, because if you listen to the isolated tracks and everything, and even when the records came out and you put headphones on, he's playing a lot of layered stuff there. So when you do play that live and it's not there, it really is frustrating.
It would be, yeah. And you would know that exactly, because you know all the licks and all the songs, Joe.
Wow, that's true. Yeah, without a rhythm guitar player, it would be. I'm glad you said that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, him and I had a lot of talks, and I got to know Hank so well, and Hank and I hung out when Hank wasn't on the road. We probably talk every day. I got to see the band rehearsals, new tours with the Beach Boys, all that stuff, and I got to see so much of Terry's involvement with the band on the road, that when unfortunately when this accident happened, I was there for the funeral, and I was the guy that was coming out to work with him on a solo project, and So we really connected on the phone a lot for about 2 years, and that's it. Kind of aggravated me because when the accident did happen, bringing it all the way to then, and I came out for that, and uh, he, people would say, "Oh, was it an accident?" Well, yeah, it was really an accident because of the fact that he had so many things about that he was about to do, not only with me but with other musicians. I was part of the solo thing, and we were going to take it on the road as a trio. We were going to be a power trio, and in the studio, Terry said to me, right before I came, he was talking to my wife when I walked in from a job, and he was talking to Melody, and I walked in, and she said, "Terry's on the phone." I said, "Yeah, oh, Terry's on the phone." I said, "Oh, hey Terry, how you doing?" He said, uh, "Nick, how'd it go tonight?" And I says, "What do you mean how'd it go tonight?" He says, I played at a college thing here in Kalamazoo, and there wasn't a lot of people there, but it was we played okay. It was fun. He says, "Did you sound good?" I says, "Oh yeah, but there's not a lot of people. It was hard to get going. Where are you at?" And he was in China or somewhere like that. And I mean, in Japan. He loved Japan. And I said, "Terry, you're talking about me and you're there and all that." And he said, "Well, I'm just calling to let you know that, looking forward to this thing that we're going to do." And I says, "Japan, all over the world, and you're calling me, and this thing is about to come up. It's, thank you, Terry." He said, "No, thank you, Nick." And I go, "Wow, this," and I said, "Terry, what are we going to do? Because I don't know how to do what you do. I don't know that much about the studio." And he says, "Not a problem, Nick. We didn't know anything about the studio. We had to learn, start somewhere. When you and I go in the studio, we're going to go in the studio and you and I are going to play till we can't stop. Just play as long as we can, turn the tape off, bring it back, listen to it, and we're going to take parts of songs and parts of things that we're playing and make songs out of it." And of course, he had more to do because he's the singer of the song. And although in the band of two that I have now, I'm the singer because he ain't here. So that's what we're going to do, uh, put this little thing together. But he did say in the studio, he'd be playing bass, I'd be playing drums, he'd play guitar, we do our thing. And then back then it was 1978. He liked the bass player that was playing in America back then. And he mentioned him to me, and I got to meet him when I came to California. But I think he had some other people maybe also, but I knew that it was going to be me and him in the studio doing what we do in this project. And, uh, but like I said, it never happened, but that's what was going to happen. And that's why I know this was just an accident, unfortunate accident. But the thing that bothers me the most is that nobody got to hear what he was capable of because it was endless. It was endless. He had so much energy. He'd come home from playing with Chicago. He'd give me a call, and he'd want to go play, but there's no one to play with. The concert's over, and he's ready to. He's ramping up. He wants to go, and so I felt bad. I felt bad because he didn't have that outlet that he needed, but it almost happened. And
Right.
Anyway, that's my side of it.
Wow, that's heavy.
It is. It really is. Yeah, it really is heavy, and it's kind of like things I wanted to mention prior to this, but Chicago did a documentary or story, and then Michelle did a story, and that's good. Everybody does their story, and now it's my turn to do mine because uh, mine's about the history and knowing a little more insight maybe on Terry than the average person because I was there in the beginning, and then I was going to be there in '78 talking to him on the phone. All those I have so many stories that we talked about, but it's good to get it out because I would like his fans to know that he was ready to do some incredible things and maybe still play with the band, but a side project, and that was going to be a way for him to get out all of his. He had so much music to get out. I mean, he could just play for hours, and there'd probably be albums there that you could create stuff out of because he was never empty. Some people reach a point where they're playing the same old licks, the same old songs. He could just go on for hours and never do the same thing. He was a one of a kind, and just to be a little part of that, maybe plant a seed here and there. What an honor for me, and to be talking to you guys and his fans about part of where I came into the picture. I feel like a proud papa, you know.
Let's talk a little bit about your little project that you have going on, Nick's Neighborhood.
This year, I had I'm in the clothing business. I started that right after the funeral. I went to he had a Zuma Beach house where Hank Steiger, his buddy and guitar tech, lived, and I got to hang out there at Hank's house, and I always wanted to do something to show my side of their little band of two and what Terry was going to do. So, and I've always lived in neighborhoods, whether it's the Taga neighborhoods or wherever I did my business. I was kind of made a little neighborhood out of it. So now I did a thing called Nick's with an S, Nicks, neighborhood.com. And you could go to nicksneighborhood.com and kind of check it out a little bit from the outside. And if you want to go in, there's a small charge. But it's stories that I've do stories that I do, and it's really about Terry's my life with Terry, and it goes from when we were children through teenagers. I talk about his journeys, starting the big thing, and well, first it was the Mystics, then the big thing, and then it was big thing. Then we're at the Chicago Transit
And
Authority.
CTA, yeah.
CTA, yeah. And so I bring a lot of that up, and I do some pictures, and I do some songs that I would have done with Terry, my style, because he's not here. And I've got the great Chris Pennick and Joe Iaquinto, who's right here doing bass, and it's kind of like giving a little history to the people of what a power trio may sound like, and what it may sound like with, I guess, my style of playing, and then Chris's style and Joe's style. We don't, nobody tells anybody what to play in this band. We do it out of our soul, and it comes out the way we want it to come out. And there is no wrong, there is no right. You just have a good time. And it just shows the people, his fans, that this is what it was going to be all about, that kind of thing.
It's kick ass.
It's real. I feel like it's such a luxury for me to be able to have. I have a little company, but it's this Nick's Neighborhood. My company's in there, and like I said, stories, and it's just kicking off. And you come and join us. There's always something going on, and it's going to get bigger and it's going to get better. But I'd love to have you come by. But it's sort of, I almost feel like I have, it's a place, it's not like a storage unit, but it is my little neighborhood where you could see the kind of business I'm in, stories about Terry, stories about Terry's family, stories about Terry before I met him, through knowing him in the neighborhood, and then just, well, I've known him since I was like 11 and a half years old, and he was be 75 now. So it's just endless, the little bits of things that are going on. And I so appreciate that Joe Iaquinto is doing it with me. And Patty Molloy is a big help in my musical career because of her show. And she's so in tune to everything about Chicago and the music. So I feel very blessed right now. So that's what the Nick's Neighborhood is what my new project that she's talking about.
It's great. And we all share the passion, and that's what fires the whole thing.
What is your favorite Terry Kath song?
I like Introduction, and I like Tell Me. I like Tell Me because it's telling a story. You're telling me of, about the sun,
Yeah,
about the plains.
that's one of
Uh,
his most powerful vocals, I think.
Unbelievable. And then Ross comes in on drums,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my God, uh, Ross Solomon. He was in playing all the clubs in Chicago, uh, and with different bands, and he was incredible.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Nick, to celebrate Terry's 75th birthday. And check out nicksneighborhood.com for more awesome Terry Kath stories and to learn about Nick's business, which is Drawstrings of Malibu. They have a lot of awesome clothing. And we appreciate you and all that you do to keep Terry's memory going, Nick. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
My pleasure. A one of a kind guy, one of a kind band that we had, just two guys. And there's a lot of stories to tell. And I, 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 the fact that he had so much to give, I'm so pleased that some people want to hear about this because uh, he was, for his style of playing, as far as I'm concerned, the best in the world for that style of playing. It was one of a kind guy.
Yep, absolutely. All right.
No argument here. He was Terry Kath, and there will never be another.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Happy New Year, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will check out Nick's Neighborhood for more information on Terry Kath and you.
Tell me about the sun. Tell me about the rain.